Thank you, Randy. I want to make sure that people understand where we are today and where we've been. Secretary Gates put in place $100 billion of reduction to our defense budget. In 2011, there were $487 billion of reduction. So as we stand before the sequester, nearly $500 billion, the sequester puts another $500 billion in place on that. By any measure, that for our military is catastrophic. We're at a point where we look at our readiness, our ability to meet the threats that are out there, and just as you've heard, we are at a place of increased risk, at a place of what our military leaders say is a readiness crisis. We cannot be there. We as a nation have always stood behind our military, stood behind our men and women in uniform that defend this nation to make sure that they have the overwhelming superiority on the battlefield when we call on them to defend this nation. That is our obligation as a nation. With this sequester, we will no longer be able to do that. Those men and women, unfortunately, will be asked to go into a fair fight. Fair may be great on the athletic field, but in defense of this nation, it is incomprehensible. We owe it to them. We owe it to the men and women in DOD that serve in the civilian side. We owe it to that great contracting community that supports our military to provide for them the ability to defend this nation, to make sure they have the overwhelming superiority, to make sure they can fight to victory and come home safe. That is our obligation as a nation. That needs to be our renewed urgency as members of the House Armed Services Committee and as a Congress to make sure we do the job that we were sent here to do when we raised our right hand and swore to uphold the Constitution, to make sure we provided for the common defense of this nation and to maintain and provide for its armies and navies. That job needs to start anew today. That's why we are here, folks.